Welcome to Mathematics Made Easy with TADX, where mathematical concepts will be explained in clear terms for easy understanding. You can also join us on all our social media handles for more information.
Alright, good day, pals. Let me welcome you to the intermediate class for the Mathematics Made Simple. According to our schedule, for the intermediate class, we are going to be taking simultaneous linear equation and the quadratic equation. And for the simultaneous equation for today, we are going to be starting with the elimination method. And for the elimination method, here we have examples here that we are going to take gradually. Precisely, I'm going to try as much as possible to come down to the barest minimum, because this topic called simultaneous equation, if you're able to get it, it's going to help you a lot, precisely when you start taking some of the topics in the advanced classes. So we are going to take our time to do justice to the simultaneous linear equation. All else we need to do is just for us to follow the procedure step by step. And like I do tell us, if you think the pace with which the video is going is a bit too fast, try as much as possible to pause at interval, depending on you. If you have not gotten a particular step clearly, nothing stops you from pausing the video. Take that particular part again from the beginning. If you're able to take it from the beginning like that, it's going to help you. So try as much as possible to get the steps as we proceed. So for the simultaneous linear equation here, I'm going to explain the concept of the topic itself. Then after explaining what the topic means, then we are going to take the example. Now, when you say simultaneous talks about doing two or more things at the same time. Now, take for example, I am standing and I am talking. That means standing is an activity on its own, then talking is also an activity. Now, if I want to walk, I can be walking, and at the same time, while walking, I am talking. So that means I'm doing two things at the same time. So the activity of walking is not preventing the activity of talking. So when you are doing two or more things at the same time, then you call it simultaneously. So that means I am talking and standing simultaneously. Now, another side example is this. Take for example, you have a student that is learning a particular vocation. Take for example, tailoring, and at the same time, that student is also performing very well in the class. So that means you can say that particular student is schooling, and at the same time, the person is also learning a vocation, which is tailoring. So that means that particular student is doing two things simultaneously, which is schooling and learning a vocational work, which is tailoring, as from the example I cited. So when you now say solving linear equation simultaneously, that means in this case here, we are now applying the simultaneous to linear equations. Now, when you say linear equations, we started with equations, so the word equation is no longer a new thing as far as we are concerned. But the only thing that we want to add today is how do you solve two or more equations together at the same time. Now, when you say solving two equations at the same time, the first thing we need to ask ourselves is this: what is the modality of the question that we are talking about? Now, in mathematics, when you have an expression like maybe x plus 4 equals to 8, in this case here, when you have x plus 4 equals to 8, x plus 4 equals to 8, this particular one here is just a single solution, because x is just only one variable, and apart from being a single variable, by the time you finish solving this one here, you are going to get just only one answer for x. That means this your 4 crosses to the other side, and that means we have x equals to 8 minus 4, x equals to 4. From what we have here, we have x equals to 4. That means we are just having just only one answer for x, as opposed to here that we're having x and y in the same equation. Here as well, we also have x and y. So that tells you that when you're having two variables, you are expected to have two different equations. And that's why in this place here, where we have the x and y, we are dealing with two different equations. Here that we have just only one variable, we have just only one equation. That means x plus 4 equals to 8, just one. Here, x and y, two variables, two equations. Now let's now assume we have an expression like 3x minus 2y plus 4z equals to 8. Now, this one is telling us that we're having three different variables. Now, since you're having three different variables, then that means your equations is no longer going to be 1, it's not going to be 2, but rather it's going to be 3, because we're having three variables here. So that means it's possible for you to have 4x plus 2y minus 3z equals to 6, which is the second equation. 6x minus 8y plus 12z equals to 17. Now, since we've gotten three different equations here, and that means I've been able to satisfy that particular condition or law. So when you have just one variable, you're expecting one equation. Two variables, you expect two equations. Three variables, three equations. Four variables, four equations. Five variables, five equations. That's how you continue in that linear order. So since we've known the order with which the questions can be set, so we don't have any problem with that. Now in this case here, now we are going to be limiting ourselves to just two variables, two equations for the start. Then as we proceed, by the time we start getting to some of the topics in the advanced classes, then we can now start dealing with three or more variables and three or more equations. But for today and for this intermediate level, what we are going to be limiting ourselves to is just only two variables and two equations. And for us to do that, there are two different methods I'm going to be exposing us to as far as this program is concerned, and that's the methods we are going to be using. The first one is the elimination method, while the second one we are going to be using is the substitution method. Now that means for you to solve a particular question as far as simultaneous equation is concerned, you can rather decide to use your elimination method or you use your substitution method. Now the other method that you can also use is your graphical method, but for now we are going to be limiting it to only the what's it called, the simultaneous elimination method, while the second one is the simultaneous substitution method. So for today we are going to be taking only the elimination method. And when you say elimination, now elimination is gotten from the word eliminate. Now when you are saying eliminate, that means you want to remove something from a particular options. Now if for example you have 10 different variables available at your disposal and you have to eliminate 3, that means what that person is telling you is that I want you to remove 3 out of the 10 options available. So in this case here, now when you have x and y, so when you are using the elimination method, what you are telling us is that I want you to remove which of the variable that you have decided on your own. That means it's not the person in this case here that will tell you, okay, eliminate this first before eliminating the other one. You'll be the one that will decide on your own that, okay, I want to eliminate x before y. And if you decide that I want to eliminate y before talking about x, no problem, the ball is in your court. So let's see how we are going to be doing that for the elimination method. So let me go to my rough book. I will solve it in my rough book, then later we transfer it. The first question there is 5x plus 2y equals to 10, while the second equation there is 3x minus 2y equals to 6. Now we are starting on a fresh page now. Ask yourself, out of x and y, which one should I eliminate first? You are the one that want to answer that. So let me assume I'm asking the question myself. I'm answering the question myself. Let me eliminate the x. If I am to eliminate the x here, the first thing I will ask myself is, what is the coefficient of x from both equation 1 and equation 2? The coefficient of x in equation 1 is 5, while the equation 2 is having 3 as the coefficient of x. Now when you have 5x from equation 1 and you have 3x from equation 2, now ask yourself, how can I make this 5 and 3 to be having the same coefficients? So that means, what number will I use to multiply this to give me a number that will be the same with the second one here? Or better still, you can just ask yourself, what is the LCM of 5 and 3? The LCM of 5 and 3 is 15, obviously. That means when you multiply 5 by 3, you get your 15. Now, if you have the LCM as 15, what should I multiply by 5 to get 15? The answer is 3. What should I multiply by 3 to get 15? The answer is 5. Let me explain that part again, because that's the only technical part as far as this topic is concerned. You want to eliminate x. For you to eliminate the x, write out the coefficients you are having for both equation 1 and equation 2. Here we have 5x for equation 1, I've written it out. And here you have 3x for equation 2, I've written it out as well. Now after writing your 5x and 3x, ask yourself, these coefficients that is here, how can I make them to be the same thing? Your answer is simple. You are talking about the LCM here. Now the LCM in this case here is 15. What will I multiply by this 5 here to get my 15? Your answer is what? 3. What should I multiply by these 3 to get 15? Your answer is what? 5. So that means what you are saying now is that everything in equation 1 here, I will multiply it by 3, and everything in equation 2, I multiply it by 5. Now when I say everything, that means each of the term that is in equation 1, here I multiply the 5x by 3, multiply the 2y by 3, multiply the 10 by 3. Go to equation 2, multiply the 3x by 5, 2y by 5, then 6, you also multiply it by 5. Then when you are done with that, then you are done with the first step, and which is the most difficult part of that particular step. So let's multiply and see what we have here. 5x by 3, that gives you 15x plus 6y equals to 30. Then this one is 15x minus 10y equals to 30. Now you are done with the first step. The next thing you need to ask yourself is this: okay, first of all, you have successfully made the two equations to have the same coefficients. Now since both of them are having the same coefficients, how will I now eliminate? For you to eliminate, there is a particular sentence I'm going to give us. When the signs are the same, subtract, and when the signs are different, you add. Now the signs we are talking about here is the sign of the coefficient that is presently having the same thing. Here you are having 15x, you are also having 15x here. And when you are talking about the sign of the coefficient, don't forget the sign here is plus and the sign here is plus. And from what I told us initially, that when the signs are the same, you what? Subtract. Please, if possible, you can write it down, either in your solving notes or at the back of your own notes, whichever place you want to write this. Because if you fail that particular line, it's gone. You're going to make mistake. When the signs are the same, subtract. Then when the signs are different, you add. Here we have plus and plus. Obviously the signs are the same, so we subtract. So that means I'm going to be subtracting here. And when you are subtracting, for the sake of explanation here, I'm going to write it out so that you are going to see it clearly the way we are subtracting it. So this one here is 15x minus 15x. That's the equation 1 minus equation 2. Now go back to equation 1 for you to subtract the y. Here we have plus 6y. That's the plus 6y that I'm having here. Now here we have minus. I'm putting the minus. And here in front of this 10y, we have minus again. I put a bracket before putting that 10y because mathematically it's wrong for me to just say minus, and I will also put minus 10y again. This is wrong mathematically. So if you are putting another minus, open a bracket so that by the time you want to write, you will be able to multiply the brackets here to get your plus. So you are done with that now. Then equals to 30 minus 30. That place is a bit small. I'm going to rewrite it later. So let's see what we have here now. 15x minus 15x, that one is gone. So that means we have a 0. So that's where the elimination is coming in. So by the time we subtract 15x minus 15x, x is gone. So there's nothing like x in this expression here again. Then we are left with 6y minus times minus gives us plus 10y equals to 30 minus 30 is 0. Then you see that we have been able to bring out the beauty of the topic itself, which is the elimination method. So as far as elimination method is concerned, we have been able to eliminate this x. Nothing like x in the question again. So we are now left with 6y plus 10y, which gives us 16y equals to 0. And this one is just normal equation. So divide both sides by 16. So we have y equals to 0. That means we have been able to get our answer for y as 0. So since you have been able to get your answer for y as 0, what we just need to do is just for us to go back to where we started from. And that's the original question, your equation 1 and equation 2. Now ask yourself, which of these two equations should I use? You can use any one of your choice. Either you use your equation 1 or you use equation 2. That's to get the answer for x. If you remember what I started with, that when you're having two different equations, you are expecting an answer for x, you're also expecting an answer for y. Because in this case, both x and y appear in the question. So you cannot get an answer for y without getting an answer for x. So for you to get your answer for x now, substitute the value of y that you have gotten into any of the equations, either equation 1 or equation 2. So for now, I'm going to make use of my equation 1. And my equation 1 is 5x plus 2y equals to 10. That was where we started from. So this value of y that I've gotten, which is 0, anywhere I'm seeing y here, I'm going to be replacing it by 0. So that becomes 5x plus 2 into bracket 0, everything equals to 10. So here again, nothing like y is appearing now. We are having terms only in x. So just open the brackets here. We have 5x plus 0 equals to 10. 0 is insignificant, so for now we have 5x equals to 10. Dividing both sides by 5, so we have our x equals to 2. So finally we have our x equals to 2, y equals to 0. So that means we have been able to get the answer for both x and y. But for now, we are not going to truncate the solution there, because in our last class I explained extensively on how to check the solution. So that means for now you've gotten your answer, but you want to check if your solution is actually right or wrong. So for you to check, what you just need to do is very simple. So just write the original question, either your equation 1 or equation 2. You can use any one. I think I've been using equation 1 so often. Let me use equation 2 this time around. Or better still, I will use both equations to check, at least just for the first question. I will use equation 1 to check. I will also use equation 2 to check as well. So you see that your solution is going to be the same thing. So here now we have 5x plus 2y equals to 10. And the answer we got for x is 2. Anywhere we see x here, we put 2. Anywhere we see y, we put 0. So this now becomes 5 into bracket 2 plus 2 into bracket 0 equals to 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 0 equals to 10. 10 equals to 10. Since your LHS is equal to RHS, your solution is correct. We go to the second equation now. 3x minus 2y equals to 6. Our x is 2 and the y is 0. So that means we have 3 into bracket 2 minus 2 into bracket 0 equals to 6. 6 minus 0 equals to 6. 6 equals to 6. The same way, your LHS is equal to RHS in the first equation. In the second equation we used as well, our LHS is also equals to RHS. So that means our solution is perfectly correct. So that means we have been able to follow the steps one after the other. So before writing it inside my notes, what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to re-explain the solution from the beginning down to the end, so that we'll be able to recap. Now, I told us when we started that when you write out the question, 5x plus 2y equals to 10, 3x minus 2y equals to 6. After writing it out, ask yourself, which of these letters or variables should I eliminate first? And here, we choose x, that we are going to eliminate the x. Now, after deciding that you want to eliminate the x, what we just need to do is write out the coefficients of x from both equation 1 and equation 2. Here, the coefficients of x is 5, and the coefficients of x here is 3. Now, when you have 5 and 3, the LCM of 5 and 3 is 15. What will you multiply by 5 to get 15? I said it was 3. So, I multiplied everything in this equation 1 by 3. Now, for this second one here, when you have 3x, what will I multiply by this 3 here to get my LCM of 15? The answer is 5. That means everything in equation 2 will be multiplied by 5. So I started multiplying. 3 multiplied by 5 is, I have my 15x. 2y multiplied by 3, 6y. 10 times 3, I have my 30 here. Now go to the other side, which is your equation 2. 3x multiplied by 5, I have my 15x. 2y multiplied by 5, 10y. Then 6 times 5, 30. Now, the stage 1 is cleared. Now, for the stage 2, I gave us a particular law, or let me say condition, or a guide, that when do you know you have to add or you have to subtract? You add when the signs are different. Then when the signs are the same, you subtract. In this case here, the signs are the same, we subtracted. So we have 15x, 15x. That means I'm going to subtract both of them. So when I was to subtract, I started with this equation 1 here, 15x minus 15x. Then here, plus 6y, I wrote the plus 6y. Minus here is the minus here. Then minus 10y, I put the minus 10y inside the bracket because mathematically you cannot put the two signs together. Then equals to, this is my equals to 30 minus 30. I wrote the 30 minus 30 here. Then this and this is gone because 15x minus 15x is 0. So after cancelling these two, I'm left with 6y, then minus times minus gives me plus, then 10y, I wrote the 10y, 30 minus 30 is 0, I wrote this like that, 6y plus 10y, 16y equals to 0, divided both sides by 16, then 0 divided by 16 gives us 0, excuse me. So after that now, we move to the second equation, and for the second equation, for the second variable, I mean, for you to get the answer for the second variable, I told you you can either use equation 1 or use equation 2. And here I made use of my equation 1 here. Write out the equation 1, which is 5x plus 2y equals to 10. Then anywhere you see y, which is the answer we got here, we replace it by 0. That means the variable of y here now turns to 0 because we've gotten the answer initially. So here now we have 5x plus 2 into bracket 0 equals to 10. So we have 5x plus 0. 2 times 0 gives you 0 equals to 10. So here we have 5x all over 5 equals to 10 over 5. Then x equals to 2. So that was the solution we had for the question. That means we've been able to get the answer for both x and y. After getting the answer for both x and y, the next thing we decided to do was for us to check if our answer is actually right or wrong. For you to check if your answer is right or wrong, you can make use of any equation of your choice, either equation 1 or equation 2. Here, we decided to make use of equation 1 and 2 for the sake of explanation. By the time you are doing your own, you can make use of either 1 or 2. Now, for my equation 1 here, 5x plus 2y equals to 10, I wrote the question. My x is 2 from the answer we got here, and my y is 0 from what we have here. So, 5 into bracket 2, that means 5 times 2, we have 10. 2 into bracket 0, 0 equals to 10. Then 10 plus 0 gives us 10 equals to 10. So our LHS is equals to RHS. Then that means your solution is correct. Now coming back to the second side. For the second side here, write out your equation 2 as well. When you write out the equation 2, 3x minus 2y equals to 6. When you have 3x minus 2y equals to 6, your x is 2 from what we have here. So that means you write 3 into bracket 2, 6 minus 2 into bracket, your y is 0. So I wrote it out, 2 bracket 0 equals to 6. So 3 bracket 2 is 6, 2 bracket 0 is 0, then 6 minus 0 gives us 6. Then LHS equals to RHS. That means our 6 is equals to 6. That gives us the solution for the first question. Okay, let's take the second question here. For the second question, we have 3a plus 8b equals to 15. Then 4a plus 8b equals to 20. Now, there's something I want us to do. Because if I had done this for the first method or for the first question, it would have been too short for us. So let me apologize for going through the longer solution before the shorter one. But it's all for our own good. Now, for this second question, I want us to observe something here. 8b and 8b is the same thing. The coefficient of b is the same. Now, since the coefficient of b is the same, just like the way the coefficient of y is the same here, if we want to use the fastest method, or let me say a very fast method here, what we would have done is just for us to look at this coefficient, since it's the same thing, just for us to eliminate directly, since the coefficient of y is 2 and this one is also 2, but that one is for question 1. Now let me now use it for this second question here, where we have 8b and this one is also 8b. The coefficient is 8 and 8. So what we just need to do is very, very simple in this case here. Instead of going through the long journey of multiplying by the coefficients or whatever, just to make the coefficients to be the same thing, like what we did in the first question, here the coefficient is already the same thing. Now, since the coefficient is already the same thing, what we just need to do is just for us to skip the step 1 from the first question I solved. Because the step 1 in the first question was to make this coefficient of x to be the same thing. So we don't need the step 1 again because we are working with the b which is having the same coefficients here. So the essence of the step 1 is just for us to make the coefficients of the letters to be the same thing. Now, I don't need the step 1 again. Now, I'm going straight to the second step. And for the second step, that was when I told us that if you want to add, that means the sign for the coefficients will be different. But if you want to subtract, that means the sign for the coefficients will be the same. The coefficients here, which is 8b and 8b, the coefficients of 8 and 8 here, this one is plus, this one is plus. Now, since you're having plus and plus, the signs are the same. So since the signs are the same, then that means we are going to be subtracting. Now, since you are subtracting here, that means you are going to put your subtraction sign. Let me subtract and let us see the way we are going to do that. So here we have 3a minus 4a. That means I'm subtracting the equation 2 from equation 1. Write your 3a minus 4a. Now go to the equation 1 since you are taking the b now. So here we have plus 8b minus here now we're having plus 8b. Open the bracket. Plus 8b, close your bracket. Everything equals to 15 minus 20. That's the 15 here outside the equals to, the minus the 20 outside the equals to. Now it's simple algebra now. 3a minus 4a, this one gives us minus a. Now here now we're having plus 8b minus times plus gives us minus 8b. From the concept of direct number, the very first topic we started with, plus 8 minus 8 gives you 0. Because the plus you are having here, if you are not showing the plus, what you are going to be having is 8 minus 8. And 8 minus 8 is still the same thing as what? 0. And if you have to go through the long process of the direct number, plus 8, you have 8 naira, minus 8, you are owing 8 naira. The answer still gives you 0. So that means this b has been eliminated automatically here. So that means we are left with 15 minus 20, which gives us minus 5. Dividing both sides by minus 1. So that means we have a equals to 5. Very fast. And that's why I don't want us to start with the short method initially. So let's take the second variable. Like I told us when we were solving the first question, that for you to get the second answer, you can make use of any of the equation. Then I used equation 1. Now let me use equation 2. Write out your equation 2, which is 4a plus 8b equals to 20. Then anywhere you see your a, you replace it by 5. That means a equals to 5 here. In the equation 2 you have written out, wherever you see a, you replace it by 5. So this becomes 4 into bracket 5 plus 8b equals to 20. So that means in this case here now, 20 plus 8b equals to 20. Collecting your like terms, 8b equals to 20 minus 20. So we have 8b equals to 0. Dividing both sides by 8. So that means we have b equals to 0. So writing out our answers now. For the answers, we have therefore a equals to 5 and b equals to 0. So let's check. But for my checking this time around, I'm going to be using just only one equation. If you want to try it on your own, you can use any of the equation to check. So let me use my equation 2 to check. 4a plus 8b equals to 20. My a here is 5. That's 4 into bracket 5 plus 8 into bracket, my b is 0. Everything equals to 20. 4 by 5 gives us 20 plus 8 by 0, 0 equals to 20. So this 20 equals to 20. So our LHS is equals to RHS. Since LHS is equals to RHS, that means we've gotten our answer correctly. So I'm going to be truncating the class here for now. Then to truncate the class, I'm going to leave exercises for us to solve. Try as much as possible to solve everything. Then after solving everything, send to my DM as usual. Going to check if there's any mistake. And apart from that, let me quickly say something about the social media handles that we've been using for a while. And the only thing I'm going to be adding there is this. For a while, I stopped posting on the TikTok and the Instagram. So the videos can still be accessed on FB, as a Facebook. It can be accessed on Telegram, and it can also be accessed on the YouTube channel. So what you just need to do is, for the Telegram channel, when you see the end of the video, you see it there, and the Facebook, you also see that one there, and the YouTube as well. So for the YouTube has the advantage of bringing up notification each time a video is uploaded. So just like it, search for Idea Professors. That one is very easy. So once you see it, just subscribe, and anytime a video is uploaded, you'll be notified that okay, this particular video has been uploaded. Then you can watch at your own leisure time. Thank you and God bless you.